Does it
So we're gonna post.
Does it start to tell you when people come in?
The thing doesn't seem to work very well because it's always a different number than it told me. See, there's a count. One person is watching. So, Auntie Missy's here. Hi. Oh. I'm gonna wait a few minutes for people to join. So if you're rewatching this, then skip ahead for like a couple minutes. So I'm here today with my sister, Tess Carrier. We're gonna talk about sibling relationships. Okay. So this is gonna be my weekly live stream, which I'm decided to call as of right now Starlight Talks, because it's in the evening with stars could be out in places, and Estelle means star, so, and they're yellow, so that's cool. Okay, we're getting people in, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them anytime. Today we're talking about sibling relationships. I'm here. My sister Tess is the guest this week.
Yeah, so if you have anything to ask me, ask Chloe about anything related to siblings, anything not related to that, just start typing in your questions, and as soon as we get more people, we'll start to answer those questions, try to give our experiences and opinions on how we feel and what we went through growing up. So yeah, welcome everybody new that just came in. But yes, I'm Tess.
Trying to make the chat bigger so we can view it better.
Yes.
See, there we go. There's the question. All right. So, I guess we'll get started. So, so Tess, what was it like growing up with sibling on the spectrum?
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with talking about it, I guess, from like very beginning, before we even knew that you or Lillian had autism. I don't think at first anything really affected me.
So this was like before the diagnosis?
Yeah, when I was really little, I guess you'd say, like younger. They were mostly just my older sisters I looked up to, and always like, those are my big sisters, whatever. And then as I got older, I could tell they were different, but in a way that I thought that they were just, wow, my sisters are so smart. They're just really good at things that I wasn't always necessarily good at in school, and that's the part that I saw that was different. Nothing like physically, nothing like socially at first, and I looked up to them for those type of things that they were so good at, and they were so good at things that super focused in, like with Chloe, with her different artistic skills growing up, with not just like art. Now she's more in like photography and film and that side of it, and Lillian had her theater, and they just strived at those certain things that they were passionate about. And I was on a different end. I was more athletic and played sports, little tomboy. But then I guess as we got older and responsibilities came into play, things got a little more different. And I actually wrote a lot about having sisters with autism because it was something I was very passionate about writing, that I wrote it for a college essay last year when I was applying to schools. So I wrote in detail because that's something I could just talk about, and talk about how amazing my sisters are, and talk about my experiences, and talk about how it helped me grow, not just, just as a person, having sisters with autism. But back to where when we got a little older, it just helped me become more independent on my own because we weren't quite searching for what was happening with them, but trying to find an understanding of, hey, like, why are certain things different for them when they're in school? Why are certain things different with interactions? Because there are small things we noticed as growing up, like with just our grandparents and stuff. When we would speak with our grandparents, I would look my grandparents in the eyes and be like, yes, yes, and they would look away. And just those, like, subtle things over time. And then with school, like, getting older, that, like, getting accommodations and stuff, they really set forth in trying to get help and knowing what's going on. And so through all of that, and my parents being focused on them, and not saying they weren't focused on me at all, but they were focused on finding something, trying to be passionate in a way to help my sisters and be there for them through struggles. There were definitely struggles they were going through, and through that I found a way to be independent, and I found my passion in sports even deeper. And so I got myself to do things. I kept myself busy with sports and staying after school and doing things to stay out of the way, but, like, I was doing something I enjoyed. And so
yeah, you were at friends' houses a lot.
Yeah.
You made deep connections with friends.
I did a lot socially, a lot athletically, school involvement. I was just independent in that way and finding myself, finding maturity and how to deal with situations on my own, while my parents and family and sisters needed a little more nurturing to discover how they can be more independent. And so that's how I experienced it, and having, not only with those finding my independence and finding my growth, I also learned how to deal with people in a different way than I think if I didn't have sisters with autism.
And me and you were always pretty close. Like, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, you came to me with, like, questions about puberty, I think, before you even went to Mom.
Yeah, me and Chloe were definitely had our times where we were way closer than me and my other sister. I don't know what it was, but it was just the different connections that I've had with both my sisters. But yeah, definitely, and I felt like, and it helped me with realizing how to deal with people. That having sisters with autism definitely helped me open my eyes to just people in general and going, hey, we don't know what they're going through. Because on the surface, my sister looks normal. She looks fine. She looks like any other person. And you couldn't tell that she has daily struggles. She has different struggles that nobody will realize, like, just by seeing her at school, seeing her wherever. And so it helped me realize that, hey, people have struggles that you don't realize, and to take a second to think about that and give them a chance, or maybe even if it's just a bad day. It just helped me be better with people in general and understanding. So that's another thing that my sisters gave me, is understanding and open my eyes to not just surface of people. There is a few questions, it looks like.
There's someone watching with their 12-year-old, Lucia. Hi, Lucia. If you have any questions, don't feel free to ask. Don't be shy.
Oh, there's one. Was it hard with your sisters getting a lot of attention? I mean, to some degree, but with the maturity I gained from it, I realized that they needed it more than I did. I realized that I didn't need this. I got attention differently. I got attention through sports, through, like, just being home. I just got it differently than they did. And I realized that my parents loved me and gave me attention and cared about me and supported me in everything I was involved in. It was just a different type of attention than my sisters got. But yeah.
Was there anything about autism and the that I did that like really got under your skin, that you just like, especially as a kid, like had a hard time coping with?
Well, I know when I was younger, when I didn't understand it, yeah, a lot of it was like frustrating, and that's before anybody knew. So I was just like, what? It would just be frustrating, and I think I more saw it as like a sibling upset, not like, oh, I'm so like mad. Because siblings get upset at each other all the time, and there was certain situations that things happened, and it was really frustrating, and until I really understood where it was coming from and educated myself.
Do you have any examples of
stuff? And you educated me, it helped. I think it was more, I remember one with Lillian when she used to go to my mom and dad and just like share stories of things and just talk to them, not realizing she was talking to them about things I did and getting me in trouble. And I thought when it was happening that it was like, hey, like, why are you telling on me? Why are you trying to get me in trouble all the time? And I just would always get upset with her about it. And it just went over her head because she thought that she was just having a conversation with my mom. She didn't even think she was getting me in trouble. She thought, oh, Tess didn't do this today. Like, isn't that, like, funny or whatever? Tess didn't do the dishes. I had to do them all. Whatever it was. And she happened to get me in trouble for it. And that was something that frustrated me until I realized, and we talked about it, that that's not how she meant it. And that's not what she was trying to do, because she's so literal. She was just trying to express herself.
I know something that really bothers you is when I zone out or have trouble processing and I ask you to repeat yourself. That gets under your skin like crazy.
I hate repeating myself. Especially if it's like the third or fourth time. Because usually if I don't hear somebody and it's like the third or fourth time, I'm like so embarrassed and I'm just like, yeah, sure, great. And I probably shouldn't do that, but most of the time that's more of a normal reaction for me because I don't want to ask again because I know how frustrating it can be when you've said it so many times.
But I'll be like genuinely interested in a story that you're telling, and my processing stops and I zone out and I go, I'm trying to listen, but I'm not processing this. Can you repeat it? And I'll ask you questions. You're like, I already said that. I already explained it. I'm not telling it again. I'm like, but I want to know the ending. And you're like, no, I'm done. Nobody's listening to me. And you get so upset. Oh, I know, like that tries your patience.
Yeah, because sometimes it feels as if, what you ask me so many times, are you even listening? But it's not. If it's coming from you, it's different than like other people when they're just like not paying attention or not giving you their full interest in what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I get that can be frustrating because like when you're telling a story, you want a nice reaction. You don't want, what did you say? So Molly asked, how was school, Tess?
School is great. For anybody on here that doesn't know, I go to school at Sarah Lawrence. So I've been in New York for the school year, and now I'm back for the summer with my family and my sisters.
Yeah. Well, for me, the social structure of school like never made sense, but you always seem to understand it and like make friends, and like if you ended up losing a friend, you found another. I don't know how close if you were close with all of them, but you seem to be able to figure out how to get invited to stuff and how, to navigate that. I don't know how much you had more issue, like, with teachers not liking you. I know that.
Yeah.
Where teachers seemed to like me even though I challenged them, but you and Lillian had more of an issue of, like, they didn't like the way you challenged them, I guess.
I was a hit or miss. Either my teacher loved me or they could not stand me. So it was a hit or miss, like, and I dealt with that because I was fine. Either you love me or you hate me, so it's better than the in-between of not knowing who I am in the classroom. Were you ever embarrassed by them? I wouldn't say embarrassed. I don't think I went through some of the same embarrassment Chloe went through because I didn't go to the same schools, really. It was like the weird overlaps. And when I did go to the schools with them, we kind of understood what was going on.
And, like, our grades are so separate,
Yeah.
you know? But she kind of used me to, my lack of embarrassment to her advantage. Where, like, I remember, like, when we went to see Kick-Ass, they had the swag bags if you wore a costume, and you made me wear the costume to get the swag bag, and I was like, sure. And so she sent me in to get the swag bag for her because she didn't want to wear a costume to the movies. And so we did stuff like that where, like, I never felt like you were, like, embarrassed of something I did.
No, I wasn't, and I wasn't even embarrassed of that because I asked her to dress in that, so I wasn't like, oh my god, like, she's in a costume in the movie theater. Like, I don't know, I embrace my sisters, I love them, and I don't know if embarrassed would be the right word. I mean, sometimes maybe something was said wrong that wasn't socially as acceptable, but it wasn't embarrassment. It was like, I think I would have felt more worried about why would you say that? Are you, like, don't say that, like, people might judge what you're saying, but it wasn't.
You were more
like,
concerned about my feelings than, like, oh my god, you're gonna hurt me. But people are gonna think I'm associated with you.
Yeah, but it wasn't embarrassing because when I went to school with you for part of my sophomore year, and I definitely was like, that's my sister, that's Chloe, and all my friends would go up to her and say hi and knew who my sister was.
Yeah, when we went to the same school, that was, like, elementary school, and so you were, like, in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I was picking you up from kindergarten when I was, like, in 2nd or 3rd grade, and like, you were so excited to show me off to your friends. You're like, that's my older sister, they're older, they know things. But then, like, in, like, middle school, when I feel like that embarrassment would have happened, we're in different schools.
Yeah, and then with Lillian, I was at school with her after I left the school I was with Chloe. And I was friends with most of the people in Lillian's grade, and I wasn't embarrassed, I don't think.
Well, when we were in 9th grade together, we were there for a year, and I don't know if it was embarrassment of me, but I remember you get to school, and you would run as fast as you could away from the car.
In 9th grade?
In 9th grade, when we get to school, you would run from the car, and then
you didn't go to school with me in 9th grade.
You were in 9th grade. I was in 11th grade. At Costa.
You went to Costa my freshman year too?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess. No, I think when I got to school, I was just excited because me and my friends had, like, places where we would meet before class and all of that, and so I don't think it was running to get away. I think it was to go see my friends. Honestly, it was, and if you took it that way, I think it was unintentionally running away from me.
There were a couple times I'd see you in the hall and, like, wrap my arm around you and your friend, I think it was London, and I'd be like, you guys, don't you feel so cool walking with an upperclassman? And you'd be like, shut up, Chloe.
But it wasn't an embarrassing thing. It's like a sisterly, like, stop that. You're just teasing me now. You're being weird. Unnecessarily. But, yeah. I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions?
Charlie asks, do you guys ever have trouble relating to each other?
I think so, and I definitely think more so when we were younger. We had our separate things and interests, and I think now it's a less of a divide, but there's still stuff that it's hard to connect on. But it's also, we have an age difference, and we have different interests, so I think it's not autism related. Would you say so? Maybe partially. But I think
partially, like, for you, I feel like, and I'm sure you might feel this way about me just because, like, we think so differently. I feel like with you, you have a more of an emotional reaction to things, which it's not a logical response, so I can't always guess, like, what I'm going to say you can handle. So when I'm like, oh, is now a right time to critique you? Is now the right time to just build you up? I don't know, because you're so on more of an emotional range of thinking, whereas mine, like, I feel like is a little bit on on the more logical side where it's like, okay, yeah, you meant your intention in that was different than like what the words actually were.
Yeah.
You know, where like when I say something, you're like, why would you say that? And maybe you think that I have more of an illogical response just because the way you think is normal to you.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think this is okay to say. No, why would you say that to me right now? Like, I feel like that is a lot of our relationship. But for the most part, like, when we interact,
I don't think it's
been pretty
a
good.
huge disconnect.
No.
I think
it's like
sisterly. Like, not all sisters
Yeah.
are like side by side best friends, have the same interests, have the same passions. But when we do connect on certain things, it's great to like talk about it. Like this year, I took my first ever film class, and Chloe's the film girl, so I had a fun time talking to her about all the stuff I did, and she could totally understand what I was going through with my group and with the different jobs I had in my film class. So that was something that we definitely like connected on. So there's definitely things like we're not completely disconnected where she's in her room, I'm in mine, and we don't talk. It's not like there's no understanding. We're sisters. We find interests. We find things to talk about all the time, and yeah, I don't feel like I can't talk to her.
Hi, Patty. Thanks for tuning in. Molly asked, what's the weirdest story you two have with each other? Ooh, what's a weird one?
Weird.
Well, you, when you were little, you had the pet worm. Do you remember this?
Kind
You went into, like, the garden, and we always made, like, those mud pies, and you found all these worms, and you decided they were gonna be your pet, and you put them in a bucket, and, like, the biggest bucket, it was huge, and then you buried them in dirt, because you knew they lived in dirt, but you squished the worms. You killed the worms, and you were so upset. You're like, oh no, my worm died.
I did weird things when I was little.
Yeah.
She also had a hamster.
Yeah.
And I was really little because you were in 2nd grade or something. And I thought that I could put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
And like, look, I put it in my pocket. Look, it's my friend and he's in my pocket. And Chloe's like, no, don't do that. You're squishing him. And I was like, no, I'm not. So I did some interesting things where I thought the animals were my best friends and I can just put them in my pocket.
You liked bugs when you were little. You did. Now you can't stand there and like, what happened? You used to like hold them all the time.
There's another question. How is Tess's relationship when it comes to the service dogs? Oh, I love the service dogs. I definitely know when to keep my boundaries on when we're out in public and not to pet them unless Chloe gives me permission or Lillian gives me permission, especially because I went through a whole semester with Chloe and having her dog on campus with me. So there was times where Benji would be working and she'd give me permission to say hi and pet the dog. But no, I love them and they always are excited to see me. I think I've built some good relationships with Luke and Benji. Yeah, Benji's over here. Hi, Benji!
Yeah, when you're in New York, you'd come by, just say hi to Benji and leave.
Yeah. Do you scroll up or down with this? Oh.
Up, yeah. The new one's coming up there. For some reason, this one stopped loading.
Is it because we have to scroll? No.
Alright. What else should we talk about? Anybody else have any questions? So, how did you feel when we got the diagnosis?
I don't think it was as big of a deal for me as it was for you guys, because I realized that there was something happening and you guys were going to figure it out and figuring out what's happening here. And Lillian had been going to doctors since she was 4th or 5th grade because she had originally stomach problems and all of this. And I think when it came about, it really helped me in the way that, okay, now we know what's going on. Now I can understand how to better my relationships with my sisters and understand that's what they're going through and this is how I should deal with it, rather than how I was dealing with some situations, just getting upset or pushing away and just going into my own room and not dealing with what was going on. But it helped me know, okay, this is what's happening, now we get to understand and know, but it didn't affect how I saw my sisters or how our relationships changed. And if they did change, it was a better change for understanding and being able to talk and express what's happening.
So do you, like, tell your friends, oh, prepare yourself if you come to my house, my sisters have autism? Do you ever, like, have to explain that?
No. I don't ever feel like I have to, and I feel like whenever I talk about it in a proud way. I have two sisters with, like, autism, but, like, they're so smart, like, you don't know, or whatever it is, like, it's more of in a positive way, and, like, it's not in, like, brace yourself, my sisters have autism. It's not, like, in that type of way. Whenever I speak on it, it's definitely a positive
Benji, quiet.
way, and being proud of, like, what
Quiet.
you've gone through and how you've overcome things and how you've built your guys' house up. But yeah. What are you most proud about your sisters? That's a hard one, because I'm just proud of my sisters in general, because everything they've gone through, like, you can't just choose one thing to be proud of. I'm proud of, as a whole, for them making it through high school. Getting that is such a big deal. Like,
I think, like, you learn to celebrate the little things more, because you realize, like, it's not easy for everyone to just get out of bed in the morning, you know?
Yep, and I'm proud of how Chloe handles herself with her peers. Like, when I was at school with her... Benji, leave it. When I was at school with her, I think some of the times I saw her and I was like, wow, she has so many friends. She has more friends than me, and she's just walking around with, always saw her with people. I was proud of that. Like, I was proud of the fact that she got into the same school as me, because I know how hard it was to get into the school I got into for college. And I was excited to have that experience with her. Proud of, like, everything she's been doing with autism and expressing herself through writing, and it's hard to choose one thing, because I'm just in general proud of both Chloe and Lillian. Like, I could go on a list about Lillian too, how proud I am of everything they're doing in life, socially, school, with their careers they're starting, with helping other people, being passionate about anything. They found stuff to be passionate about, and that's something to be proud of too. Okay, I think there's
some questions for me. Do you have a normal diet, or are there only certain foods you will eat? If so, how does your family deal with it? Well, my diet's normal. I'm only allergic to some nuts, so I eat most everything. As long as I like it, I'll eat it. I don't, like, have, like, any of those gluten-free diets, or, like, lactose intolerance, or those. I feel like with those diets, unless you, like, have another issue in your stomach or your gut or something, where if a diet makes a change, it means that food was bothering you and you were in pain. It doesn't mean that those with autism need a different diet. And I think that, especially with younger kids who can't explain, oh, this food hurts my stomach, or maybe they don't even know because it's so consistent. If change in diet helps, it's because something in that food was hurting them, not that those with autism need to eat differently. If it's picky eating, normally that comes from a state of anxiety, depression, or something that's making your senses flare up, that makes eating harder. So like the texture of the food might bother them, the taste of the food, the smell of the food might make them nauseous. It's too overwhelming to eat certain things, so they'll stick to the same thing that they know. To me, when I was little, consistency was really important because of chaos, and it wasn't about the food. The reason I ate like the same food the exact same way every lunchtime was because I could rely on that, and I didn't have a choice in whether I went to school, what activities I did, and all these kinds of things, but I had a choice about what I ate, and I was going to make sure that I had exactly what I wanted and could rely on that to be the same. So I think if you have a picky eater, it's beyond just changing their food. You have to help their mental health will help in the first place. So like, what is wrong that's making them think this way? And if you do that, then you'll have a change in that. And just make food fun. Get them involved in cooking. Get them involved in going to the grocery store, picking out fun foods. Make it a celebration. Make it really fun to cook and to eat. And make it feel safe and optional. If you try to force it, you're eating this, or you're not eating at all, you'll have more of an issue. Because it's normally about that control, and it's not about like the actual content of the food. But if you have someone who is in an unhappy state of mind, that's not going to change no matter what you do unless you address that. So that's my take on the diets of autism. If you have more questions about that, let me know. Chloe, do you feel that you need to tell new friends or other people that you have autism? I feel like I do need to. If I don't tell someone, then they think more negative thoughts about me. I'm much more closer to people that it's kind of sad, but I'm closer to people when I go, oh, I do this because of autism, rather than people who just take issue with what I'm doing and how I think and how I act. The people that I have explained I have autism to, they are way more open to being my friend. And if someone has an issue with me explaining I have autism, which really has never happened, at least not outright to my face. If anyone takes issue, like, oh, I have autism, then I guess I wouldn't want them as a friend anyway. A friend and their child always has to give a disclaimer or preface what they say before they say it. I'm going to ask a question, or I'm going to do this, or I do this because I have autism, is a tell that they are uncomfortable, that they're questioning, is this okay? And they're because they've been told what they're doing is not okay. And so if they add, oh, I act this way because I have autism, suddenly it makes it okay. So that is a tell that they're not sure how to act, and that they've been told they're acting incorrectly. So I would work on making them feel comfortable to be themselves, that they don't need to add, I'm doing this because I have autism. That they can just say, I'm doing this. I've definitely encountered people who do that, like after every sentence or before every sentence. Oh, I'm going to say this because of this reason. It comes from that place of, is it okay to ask this? Is is it appropriate? I don't know, because I'm always told what I'm doing isn't quite appropriate. Caroline asks, how do you deal with anxiety? We are going to have, that's the topic of next week, and we're having a guest speaker who knows all about having anxiety because she lives with it. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about anxiety? I know you have a little bit of anxiety.
I feel like with any type of thing like that, it's like a personal thing and how to deal with it. I don't know if there's like a universal answer on how to deal with anxiety. You know what I mean? It's kind of whatever makes you feel comfortable when you have any sort of anxiety. Some people might feel more comfortable when they're surrounded by other people and need to get out and do something to feel a calm or feel the presence of other people's joy might bring them less anxiety and help them just refocus their energy. Sometimes it's nice, like, just to sit down, relax, put your little diffuser on with some essential oils that are calming. Sometimes I just like to have some tea and just listen to music and be alone and center myself in that type of way, to play calming music, have tea, and the smell of essential oil will sometimes help. But I feel like it's finding your own personal comfortability. So what is something that makes you feel calm and comfortable? And if you feel any sort of anxiety coming on, I know it's hard to recenter yourself, but realize a time when you weren't in that state, and a time when you were super calm or super comfortable in what's happening, and kind of try to reset that up and be like, okay, I feel good when I'm doing this, or I feel less.
Well, what you're saying is not ignore the stress.
No.
It's take it head on, feel it, and let it pass in the way that you know how to deal with it. If that's sitting with it, meditating, if it's listening to music, if it's dealing with the issue straight on, if it's, doing yoga, if it's exercising, if it's eating right, if it's all.
But
all
don't
these
ignore
things.
it.
Yeah.
Deal with it in the way that you know will be a positive impact. And that's the only thing I can say about it, because it's very personal. That's how I've realized and felt about it when I've come across it and other people with it, and you need to deal with it, but in a way that you can.
The two things I would recommend is be with it, which means sit with that emotion, let it go through you, recognize this is anxiety and it will pass. Let the emotion happen. Don't fight it. If you fight it, it may feel like it goes away, but it'll come back. Be with it, let it pass, and then reframe and understand this is just for now. It's not forever. Let it pass, and then reframe instead of, oh, this issue is so big. Reframe it into, okay, I can deal with this issue, and figure out from there what you're going to do about it. Don't act on that fear. Don't act on that anxiety. Be with it, let it pass, and then reframe to what you want to do next. Mm-hmm. And make sure that you're reframing to a more peaceful state of mind. Don't stay in that state of mind of this is the end of the world.
That's why I was talking about finding something that makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's going to feel, when you have the anxiety, that this isn't going to end. This is so...
Yeah.
This is forever. This is a painful thing. But when you realize that, you realize what you're experiencing, and then take it to a place where you know is comfortable. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. And go, like, if you need to go find your own space, go to your room, or if you want to go out in public and go do it while you're exercising, while you're running, whatever makes you feel comfortable to feel that emotion, go do that. If you want to cuddle under a blanket, or if you want to go hug your friend, if you want to be around people and talk about it, or if you just want to be by yourself and journal, whatever you can do to address, I'm feeling this,
But like you said, sit with it, realize what you're going through, and then I don't know if I have one thing I always do, but like sometimes it depends on the day. Sometimes I feel like I need somebody, and you go to a friend, you go to a family member, whatever it is, and you just need to sit, talk it out. You need to sit with somebody, just not say anything and cuddle, whatever it is. Or maybe you need to be alone. Find that space that you need to be in to overcome and be in a better state afterwards. But it's not going away. It's forever.
And I find that the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
Right? The more you are in your body, the more you can recognize what your body needs. The more you repress and push away and distract yourself, the less you'll know what's going on with your body and what your needs are. The more you do it, the faster being with it takes. And it'll go faster because you'll know what to do and how to catch it earlier because you'll feel yourself going into it much faster.
But yeah, learn about yourself, your body, and what you go through, because I know personally I've tried to understand myself because everybody's an individual. So I like to know what I go through, what my body experiences, what I am experiencing personally, and how it affects me. I definitely have some spiritual elements that calms me, but there's also physically, I want to understand my body and what goes through it, and what's helped me understand that is through my sports and going through physical therapy. That's where I know my physical. I did some dance classes this year that helped me understand my body, how it worked, how it moved, how it felt in pain, not in pain. Those are some things that helped me understand that side. So I knew which pain and anxiety are similar. What do I feel like when I'm in pain, and what do I feel like when I'm happy, relaxed, in a comfortable state? And you just got to understand those differences and how to achieve them and how to go from one to the other, how to get out of it. It's a very personal experience. That's the best I can explain about it. But definitely learn and accept yourself and understand what you're going through, and don't deny. Denial is not going to help at all. Accept, okay, I'm going through this. I have anxiety. I have whatever it is. We have to accept that. And most things aren't curable, aren't going to just go away. So you have to know, this is how I feel when I'm having anxiety. I'm overwhelmed. What can I go to feel better, to get out of this? But it will probably come back. Maybe not next week, maybe not the week after, maybe a month later. But you have to realize what that feels like and how to overcome that.
Yeah, I know, like, when I feel myself slipping into a state of mind that is anxiety or defense mode or depression, it tells you your reality, it warps your reality of how things are. And so I'll even say to a family member, I'm feeling this and I know it's not true and I know it's not reality, but this is how I feel and I need you to do this for me to make me feel better. And just saying that really just helps me to go, this isn't actually how things are. The world's not actually against me, even if it feels that way. And it really helps you to bring yourself back to reality and go, this is a family member, this is a friend, they're all on my side, even if my mind's telling me they're not. Yeah. So that really helps to just know that state of mind isn't going to last forever, and it's warped, and it's just, for me, knowing that isn't reality, even if it feels like it, is really helpful.
But it's all those things, in the way it's so personal, is some things that might calm you, like yoga, might stress other people out. Some people like peace and quiet to recenter themselves, and some people need tons of noise.
Yeah.
So there's not one answer to give you, because maybe when it's quiet, that gives you more anxiety because you're just like everything.
Yeah, and it might be different every time, depending on what you're going through. You might need people. Other times you might need to be by yourself.
Does that help at all? It was a lot, and it was very all over the place, but I hope that helped.
I have a question for you. So, for me, growing up, I realized that natural consequences were much easier for me than, like, rules and punishment to, like, figure out what was okay and what wasn't. So, like, if I got mad at you and said something I shouldn't, and you went, well, I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're not being nice. To me, I was like, okay, now I know how to fix that. But if, like, you're like, I'm going to take your toy because I'm mad at you, that kind of punishment didn't make sense. I was like, well, why would you react that way? And so, like, you know, like, if you were, like, miss curfew or something, and they're like, and mom and dad went, hey, we don't trust you to go out on your own, so we're going to not let you out without us. Like, that makes sense as a natural consequence rather than I'm taking your phone away or I'm taking your computer away. So how did, like, is that the same for you? Because I know with autism, there's more of, like, the rule breaking because you're like, that's unfair and that doesn't make sense. And for, I know I had friends that had their phone taken away and they weren't given, like, a date they were given it back, so they would always freak out, like, oh, if I do something, my phone will be taken away and gone forever. Because they weren't told, I'll just take it away for a week. So, and I know they didn't have autism, so I know there's a little bit of that just with kids in general. So was there, with you, how did you ever experience that punishment doesn't make sense?
Well, I feel like most of our punishments that we were given were pretty,
well, like school sometimes
that were pretty, right? Like, reasonable to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I could see some of the things with my friends, I was like, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And if that happened to me, I would not be happy or whatever. But I guess taking those certain things away is trying to take away things you enjoy because you did something bad. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's completely unrelated. Like, coming home after curfew, so I'm taking your computer away. Okay, that's something I like, so maybe it'll encourage you to behave, I guess. But it's not related.
Yeah, to me, it's like...
That doesn't completely make sense, but I can find some logic in it.
Yeah.
But then there was ones where it was like, you didn't come back on time or you broke a rule, so I'm taking your phone away. And some of those didn't make sense because I'm like, now if they go out, you can't reach them and figure out where they are. That seems a little more dangerous and unsafe to me. Or scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Than them not coming back after curfew, but they have a phone so they can call somebody if they're hurt, I don't know. You know what I mean? So I guess there was some situations where I think I was, like, the same, but I think I could find a little more logic in it than you, where I could be like, oh, well, I guess that's why. Where you were more like, that doesn't make sense.
Well, like, school punishments where, like, someone, like, fell off the monkey bars and they, like, removed monkey bars or something.
That was dumb. Somebody broke their arm or foot because they fell on the monkey bar, so you weren't allowed to wear the shoes they were wearing. Yeah. Crocs, because they broke their foot or arm because they fell off the monkey bar, and they happened to be wearing Crocs. I don't think it had to do with the Crocs, because people fall off the monkey bars and break bones all the time. But they banned Crocs after that. So there was some dumb things where I was just like, that's just ridiculous. But I don't know. Anything else? Whoa.
Let's see.
La, la, la. Any more questions? Can I just get a little feedback from our answers, if you liked it or not? I'm just kidding. But if you want to tell us that it was good, it helped, or it didn't at all, I don't know. I'd like to know. I'd like to know if I'm helping or not. Maybe I shouldn't say some things. I don't know. It didn't help. I don't know, but you two rock.
From Mom.
Thanks. Love you, Mom. Blown away. Oh, thank you. It helped me a lot for next time.
Oh, thanks, Caroline.
I'm so glad. I'm glad we helped with that a lot. Yes, you are helping. You are helping. Yay! I just wanted to make sure that my advice and I was saying things in a way that was helpful and made sense. Because if I wasn't making sense, too, please be like, oh, can you explain this more? Can you give a little more detail on this? Because I want to be clear. I want to make sure everybody is getting what they want from this live stream.
We're doing these live streams weekly. I will have guests on again and again. So if you want Tess back, just let us know what topics you want her to cover. So every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time, you will see a live stream from OurTism called Starlight Talks. You should check out the OurTism page. We do life map coaching, which I am part of. That just it's been really helpful to me to figure out like what I'm gonna do next and how to take those logistic steps and what I want to work on and my goals. And I really feel like my voice is heard. I have my blogs up on the website if you want to check them out. I do a lot of writing there. And then I have my live stream every week. So please like the OurTism page for updates of when the next one is. So thank you all for tuning in. Stay colorful, my friends. Have a really nice evening. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye!